I was intrigued by the way that this year's General Assembly theme, Peace Be With You, was supplanted by a single word, radical. A sense in which the General Assembly understood that going down the route of the past and simply trying to recreate that is not the way, but actually that we need to be looking to plan to the future. Although I'm not convinced that we would actually say this, that we are ready for the future, but a sense in which we know that we need to be. Church Without Walls report, though, said that the key for this lies in the local church, not with the national church or with presbyteries, but in the local context. And in that context, as in any others, there are three prerequisites for change. First of all, discontent, a sense that we are not content where we are and know it's not the right place to be. Secondly, a common vision and understanding of where God is taking us and leading us. And thirdly, a knowledge of the first steps, how we begin on that journey. And in my experience, it's often that third step that's missing at the moment. I want to say a bit, though, about each of those. First of all, discontent. In every story of change, it's there. In the story of the Exodus, it's there amongst God's people. As they're in Egypt in captivity, they begin to cry out to God. Although it's interesting that the discontent has to grow. At the beginning of Moses' life, they are murdering the babies, and yet the discontent does not seem high enough. It has to build. And so, if it's not there in your context, then you need to stir it. It may be that some of the statistics will do that, but often my experience is that it's talking about what's happening in your own situation that will stir the discontent. One exercise that you can use in that is something we've called clouds and sunshine. Put up one board that's got clouds, things that folk would say are clouds that hang over them. On the other side, sunshine, things that are going well. Take an opportunity to talk about that, and some of that should stir discontent. If that doesn't happen from there, then actually begin to ask them, what will things look like around here in 5 years' time? That question should get people thinking. The second thing I said was needed was common vision. I find it interesting that God's plan was much greater than theirs. I think they wanted set free in Egypt, not taken to a new land, but that was God's plan for them. But that vision wasn't detailed. It was simply a short phrase. We're going to a land flowing with milk and honey. That's all it was. It was broad brushstrokes. And so you need to take time with your Kirk session and others to discuss vision together, broad brushstrokes. What does the church of the future look like? What do we believe God wants to see here among us? One very simple exercise to use is one that we call 3 circles, 3 words. Ask everyone to draw 3 circles. A circle of the church of the past, a circle that represents the church of the future, a circle that represents the church for just now. They could be different shapes, different sizes. Some folk will really get this, and you'll get a lot from doing this exercise. Others will shake their head, but stick with it. With the 3 words, ask people for 3 words or phrases that they would use for the church they would like to see in the future. Ask folk to work in groups and put that together into a phrase. This is not about producing a mission statement. Actually stick with all of the phrases that people come up with, and hopefully from that will emerge something of a common vision. Finally, the one I said was the sticking point, which is the knowledge of the first steps. It's interesting that the Israelites knew nothing of what would happen after the first step, which was leaving Egypt. They knew nothing of crossing the Red Sea. They knew nothing of the wilderness. They just had to take that first step. 2 things I would say are needed in our local contexts. First of all, we need to create the environment for change, an environment within which folk welcome things being different, an environment within which folk who are doing new things will be encouraged. Secondly, we need to invest in a small group of people who get this and disciple them. It's not about everybody getting this at once. It's about a few people getting the opportunity to develop things in new ways and being discipled in the process. If we do not do this properly, the foundations will not be built. That certainly is my understanding and the understanding of many others who are involved in this kind of move. Once that's done, then folk would differ about what they would do. So some would say every disciple should take on a discipleship group. Some would say no, it's about creating a discipleship pathway in the church. How does that group get involved in creating that? Or instead, each of the folk in the group might invest in individuals or groups in their workplace, in their community, wherever they are. These second steps will flow out of the first and will depend upon what the people in the group sense God is saying to them. If you want to form discipleship groups, there is material available. Mike Breen has very good material on creating a discipleship culture. If you want to create discipleship pathways, then Ivor Telfer of the Salvation Army has got healthy church material that I can make available to you. If it is about investing in individuals or groups, then the London Institute for Contemporary Christianity has material on fruitfulness on the front line. There's other material around as well, but those are the things that I know and have used in my own context and with others. Finally, I would say get a support network, or what Christian Swartz calls a trusted outside advisor. Somebody who will walk the journey with you and who will tell you about how things are going and give you some advice. Preferably both. You can find that kind of support from different places. The Centre for Theology and Community would do a 1-year programme where you get somebody 2 days a week to work with you and learn in communities. They're currently in London, but I hope in time we will manage to persuade them to do some work with us in Scotland. Secondly, there's Path of Renewal and opportunities to be involved in that. Thirdly, Lead Academy. They're based down south. They do learning communities, and again an opportunity to be involved with them. Fresh Expressions can also provide you with support. And the Cairn Network, based in Edinburgh, work on these same basic principles of supporting people on this journey. So I would encourage you to look for that kind of support, that we might travel together on this journey that God has for us.